Welcome to Three Dads in a Pod, where three friends who are so good at being dads decided to make a podcast about it. Please be advised, by listening, you may need to remind yourself not to hate them for being this awesome. Now grab a drink, pull up a chair, and don't listen to anything they say because they're idiots. Here's your hosts, Will, Wes, and Colin.
Welcome. I need to move my mic. It's over here.
Is my voice good at this?
Yeah, yours sounds great, dude. 10
Okay.
times better than Colin's.
No, but I think we could honestly start with the fact that we are recording at 8:30 because, as men, we spend all day getting our responsibilities done with work, also working out because prioritizing not only your career, but your physical fitness. And then we also had to cook dinner, spend quality time with our wives and kids.
Yeah.
And then
I took my dog on an hour-long walk.
Right.
Played with my daughter. I gave her a bath.
And then I read a couple chapters in a book. I meditated for 15 minutes. I stretched.
That's it? Cold plunge?
No, cold plunge is in the morning when I wake up at 3 a.m. I do 15 minutes of gratitude, cold plunge, 4 pasture-raised eggs.
Okay.
With 12 slices of turkey bacon. And then I run 20 to 30 miles, depending if I have to handle any business calls. Yeah. What else? Yeah. Am I missing something?
No, I was going to ask, do you just do 20 or 30 in the morning, or is that like an entire day thing? Because I've been doing the 30 in the mornings and then following up in the afternoon with a 2 or sometimes I do a 3-day. So I'll do a mid-lunch 30 and then I'll do a night 30.
Yeah.
It just depends on, like, to your point, like how business is going and how much other stuff I got.
And like how great you want to be.
Honestly, I found this
mindset.
I found this pretty sick training regimen online. It's probably Huberman or somebody posted it, I think. But I don't even think about it in terms of days anymore. What I do is I take my most recent heaviest lift, and then I say that's how many miles I'm going to hit this week. So the day I was doing 335 deadlift. So connect the dots.
I like that.
I do too.
Are you guys living your life in a 24-hour day, like traditional, or are you breaking it up into 3 different days? Because I've been doing 3 8-hour days a day. So everybody's living one day, but I'm actually living 3 days because I break up my day into 8-hour segments. It's been helping a lot with getting my my 10xing.
The 10x model. That's a good model. If you think of anything good you've done and 10x it, I mean, think how successful you are.
Yeah.
Right?
Anyways. Yeah, it's solid week stuff, but...
All right, that's a wrap, guys. Thanks for tuning in. And no, but I think obviously the fact that 99% of the people listening to this are probably close friends or family members. I still think our humble beginnings as friends is an important subject that should be talked about. And I don't even know where or how to start this conversation, but obviously we met at college, but I don't know the best way to kick this one off. Hold on, Wes did you guys meet before we became friends, or how did that work?
Man, I'm gonna be honest. I don't even really remember. I feel like me and Wes kind of became friends, or like, well, I shouldn't say that. I think that I became friends with Wes before I became friends with you, Will. Even though I like kind of knew you first, but I don't really remember. I feel like if all of us told the story how we met, it sounds so different.
Just to get clarification on what you just said, even though you met me first, you became friends with Wes first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because my introduction to you was you trying to bully me.
I'm gonna get a beer.
Anybody actually have an accurate recall of how we met?
I was in the shower in the locker room, and it was almost like the clouds separate. And like the sun comes through the clouds, but it was just you and Wes walking naked together.
No, dude, we're not posting that.
Okay. I'm not joking. Probably the first time we actually met each other was in the locker room naked. Lie? I can't do that.
Okay, then lie.
No.
All right, I actually do remember the first time I met both of you guys.
Okay.
If you want me to give
it a go. Because I legit don't remember. I'm not gonna lie.
So this was back 2014. I had transferred to SCU as a junior. Well, you were a freshman, right?
Yeah.
Colin, you were a sophomore at this time.
Yeah, I was a sophomore.
So this was back when the football season had started, even before the rest of the school was starting. What, back in like July or
Late
August?
July, early August.
Yeah. So Will, you and I lived in the same building. You were just a floor above me. And so we'd always kind of like walk to meetings and practice kind of at around the same time.
Mhm.
And I remember we weren't actually really friends at this point. It was the first all athlete chapel, but then it was like all of the fall athletes that were at school already. We had this big kind of meeting, and there were coaches that came up, and it was in the gym. So they had brought all the chairs out. I don't remember who the athletic director was at the time.
Drew Watson.
Was it? I think still the
From the
athletic director.
beginning.
Always been Drew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So he had opened up towards the end of that meeting. He'd opened up the room to like Q and just questions, like just, hey, is there any questions that any athletes have? And I think Will at this time had a buzzed head with a mohawk.
Oh, yeah.
He was just wearing ridiculous clothes. He just had this cliche, just tooly meathead vibe to him. And initially I was like, I didn't really know what to think of him, but I'm like, this guy's such a tool. Look at him. He's a big meathead linebacker. And Will raises he was one row behind me, kind of like angled. And he raises his hand. And being somewhat of a jokester, I can tell when somebody's about to say something that they don't actually mean. So Will raises his hand. Drew Watson like calls out, yeah, you right there. Will, he's like, he does one of those things. I forget the exact question, but it had something to do with deer antler and if it's beneficial to take deer antler pills or if it was a banned substance or something like that.
Yeah, he was asking about banned substance. I remember that.
Yes, that was what it was. Yeah. So he's like, yeah, curious. Is deer antler, is that like a banned substance? Because I heard there's a lot of like positive benefits to taking that, and I'm just trying to get like as many gains as I possibly can have. And like everybody around him is like some guys are laughing, some people are like shaking their head, and I was kind of like in the middle. I was like, there's no way this guy just asked this question right now. So that was my first impression of Will. I'm like, this guy is such a just fool. And then fast forward, it was the next day we were going to pick up our pads and our jerseys. We went to that little shed area, so we were all lining up. And Will was, again, like a few people ahead of me, like right near me. And he's doing Coach Hines impressions. And I freaking love Coach Hines. And he's doing the leg kick and he's pulling his pants up. And I'm just dying laughing at this point. And I think that's what hit it off for me and Will. We're just laughing at Coach Hines. And I probably made Will think he was the funniest person ever that day because I just laughed at every single thing he was doing. So I went from like thinking, this guy's like an idiot, what a tool, to being like, this guy is hilarious, and still think that till this day.
But then the Coach Hines impressions turned into then he started making fun of Coach Mack.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it wasn't quite Coach Hines, but he started to pick up on Coach Mack's idiosyncrasies and all that stuff, and he started doing these really accurate impersonations, and then that's what like kind of gave him all of his clout on the team. Was the Coach Mack impersonate?
That became Will's currency, is just impersonating people and making everybody laugh.
Yeah. Coach Marsh, Coach Mack,
Coach Marsh, yeah.
anyone that had their name, if their name started with Coach, even though it's not their real name, but if their name started with Coach, they were getting impersonated by me.
Yeah.
And and I kind of had a similar first impression of Will, but mine was actually the year prior because I was there as a freshman while Will was a senior in high school. And so he came on a recruiting visit. And I was one of the guys who was helping give tours and stuff to the new recruits. And all I remember is Will walking around with Coach Marsh the entire time, and they would not stop talking about his lifts. Which, I mean, like everybody knows Will's lifts were insanely impressive. From clean and jerk, like everything. It was insane. But I was like talk about something else. And then when it got to the next year and Will's here and I see him doing all the impersonations and stuff, I'm like, oh my gosh, he's such a big alpha personality. Then he starts, when we were actually getting into 11 on 11 stuff at practice during camp, he starts pulling me aside every time I'm running off the field. And he grabs my arms and he's like, dude, your biceps are amazing. And I mean, again, like I know how strong he is, so I'm assuming that he's just being a douche. but I now I know he was actually kind of being serious.
You do have nice biceps, bro.
No, you did.
But
Bro. I was being 100% serious.
I was like, dude, who is this guy?
But it makes sense though because you knew that he was this insane power lifter and that he was actually way stronger than most people his size or most people on the team even. For him to come over to you and compliment your arms, it does kind of sound like a joke or he's just trying to like, I don't know, belittle you almost. So that does make sense.
No, but I think that's one thing I always says. If you don't, I mean, I felt this way when I met some of your friends too, because obviously some of your friends aren't from our core group, of friends that we have. But if you don't know me at all and it's a fun vibe event or something, and I'm being just myself, there's 100% chance that the majority of the new people are going to be like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
He's being such a like,
Yeah, but that's the nature of somebody with your personality. Like you, I would assume it's intentional, but hopefully you hear me rightly when I say this. Dude, anytime you go into a room, you command attention. Like you demand it. And people either love that or hate it.
Yeah.
Like it's just how it is, And now, of course, once you get to know you, you're like, okay, I'm happy to be around this guy and let him be himself, But first impressions, it can come off like off-putting.
like, yeah, like I'm being a jerk, but I genuinely mean,
Yeah.
okay, the deer antler, that was a lie. I knew that was not.
Yeah, that was completely just
That was complete. But I actually was complimenting your arms because I was never a vascular tone person, and you had 2 bicep veins, and I was eating it up, dude. You were starting safety. I was third string linebacker when I got there. I was like,
dude, I was new to Florida. I needed to create a map on my body somehow.
But no, I specifically remember, but I honestly forgot about that deer antler story. And I can't believe I did that 2 days into, there's like what, every sport, right? It was every sport was there.
I think it was every fall sport, or was it every sport?
What a
I don't remember.
stupid thing.
It was definitely,
That was before Schulte got there too. So that's just me being an
that was
idiot.
yeah.
When Schulte got there, it was game over for me being any type of, because we would just feed off each other. But that was just me. I probably had no one. I don't think I went with anybody. I think I walked alone. And that's just me sitting there in my thoughts being like, what could I possibly
Well, you were
say?
roommates with a couple other football guys though too, right?
No.
KJ? Wasn't KJ a roommate or was he next door?
JJ. His name was JJ. Yeah, he was from Miami. I was friends walking with him. That's right.
Yeah.
No, but I hate myself for doing that.
Nah, dude, I love it.
But
this wasn't to put you on blast. This was his first impressions, and we've all, me and Wes have now, we quickly realized what a great lad you are. But okay, this is the weird thing for me though, is I still know what, when I first saw you, was like introduced to you, but I still don't remember when we became friends. We definitely
think so. Colin, you and I had classes.
I know with me and you for sure. I remember that.
Yeah, I think we just kind of through being in the same classes and then talking and then.
Well, and then one day you asked me to lunch. You were like, "Hey, you want to get lunch with me? I get lunch with all the volleyball girls." And so I was like, "Yes."
such a Wes move.
All right. The only reason I was sitting at the table with the volleyball girls is because I already knew Tori before I even went to SU, and she played volleyball. So then I got introduced to all of the girls on the volleyball team, and then so I'd sit with them. But it ended up being a plug, bro. Shout out Kelsey and the volleyball team.
But
I respect you saying that, but I know for a fact in the moment you weren't feeling.
Did I like say it? Like a little bit of a, like, was I trying to sell him on sitting with me? 100%, dude.
Oh yeah, dude.
Who wouldn't try to sell that? I was single at the time. I'm like, I hit on all the volleyball girls.
I ate lunch with the volleyball girls and like, they were.
Do you want to sit with all those guys you sit with, or do you want to sit with me and 7 volleyball girls? It's like, yeah, easy sell.
But actually, a funny part of that story is that's the day I met Kelsey, and she during that lunch, Kelsey's very much like Will, not quite to Will's extreme, but Kelsey's kind of a bold, so she's talking all the time, and she just like out of nowhere, she's like, guys, I heard this awesome thing the other day. If you had the cure to cancer, wouldn't you tell everybody? Like, well, like as Christians, like we have the cure to death, and I'm just sitting there, I'm like, Kelsey, that's pretty lame. And she's like, "Who is this guy?" I ended up getting married.
I see Colin at the table, like he's listening, and she says that. He's like,
But you know what? I honestly do not remember. Is Kelsey in the room now?
I'm telling the story about how we met.
Wow.
I don't remember though how. I remember how Will and I became friends. Obviously, just stated, Colin, how you and I became friends. Somewhere after both of us becoming friends separately, I think, Colin, you either went out at my dorm or something happened to where all three of us hung out together.
So-
That's what I'm saying.
remember
Because,
that.
I'm not gonna take credit for this, but I know the answer.
okay.
Is you guys were friends first. We get it, Colin. We've heard that multiple times. But me and Wes lived very close to each other in the dorms.
You had Madden, dude.
And I had Madden.
You had Madden. That's
I
what it
had-
was. People
had
used to come
Madden.
over to your room and play Madden. That was
Yeah.
the only reason why I was friends with you, honestly.
Yeah. So you guys were friends, and then I became friends with Colin separately at the same time because he was on defense, and I without fail, every single time he came off the field, I complimented his arms. At
What's
least,
crazy is he never commented on my quads. Insane.
well, I've just always been taught to keep eyes up, especially on football players. But I said it probably 10 to 20 times per practice. And I think me and Colin just at one point, like once we got through that stage of him thinking I was lying and that me and Colin started hanging out, but then you and me were already hanging out because of video games in the dorm. And so then you guys were friends. I think maybe lunch or mealtime, we sat together and we probably laughed the entire time and did stupid things. We just started all hanging out. And dude, I remember, but it was quick. It happened quick because
Yes, exactly.
I just remember it almost felt like we were friends from the very beginning of school. It doesn't feel like there was a time we weren't. So this happened within 2 to 3 weeks.
It
Yeah.
was the first
Yeah.
week.
Well, no, and think about this though, because our first actual season was 2014. You guys came to campus fall of 2014, and then spring 2015. So 4 months later, we all
Moved in together.
moved in together at
Yeah.
the house at my mom and stepdad's house,
Yeah.
Sagamore Street, RIP.
Sagamore Street. No longer there.
Memories there are so
What a
deep.
good
He
home.
literally put that place in the ground.
Literally, yeah. Wait, so but we didn't ask this though, or I didn't ask this, but what was Will separate from Colin's incredible biceps? What was your like impression of him? Like, did you even think you'd like, or even me really?
No. So
Just like me laughing at you, and you're like, this guy thinks I'm funny. Like, I'm gonna keep him around.
no, I will say, so I was kind of the same boat with Colin. I feel like I know exactly first impressions and beginnings, but I can't put my finger on exactly what it was. But, you know, contradictory to Colin, when I first met Colin, I was like, good looking, nice arms, smart. I thought all good things. He thought I was a tool bag asshole, but I think we meshed into a beautiful friendship through that.
Well, let's be honest now, Will. We're adults. We've learned a little bit about ourselves. All of those feelings I had about you were clearly insecurities on my part.
No,
You were
No.
the antithesis of me.
no, they weren't. They weren't. I don't blame anyone for thinking those things.
I'm actually being dead serious. Like,
But
the only reason that I would have been put off by somebody who could lift all the weight that you did is simply because I couldn't do that myself.
no, but on a serious note, I think we can say this now. I think we all are very similar people. We love to have a good time, are always laughing, but we also were like-minded. I feel like we've progressed that well in our friendship. I think that's what has made us good friends for so long, because it really felt so easy when we became friends. It was immediate. You guys are my best friends. And I think on it, the first impressions, I think really, it's just anytime you go through a football training camp, a football schedule and school, you become tighter with the people that you're doing it with, because obviously it's not the most fun thing in the world, but doing it with someone that you consider a friend makes it a lot more enjoyable. And I think from the beginning, Colin, you and me, our friendship probably started more on the football field and then lunches and dinners and workouts. I felt like from the beginning of time, we always worked out together, always in that same group with the defense and everything. And yeah, I think it just evolved from there. It's hard to put my finger on a singular situation, but with Wes, it does come down to a singular situation. I think what really kicked our friendship off is, him coming to the room to play video games, specifically Madden. And
Just
I'm typically not.
destroying you, dude.
I'm typically not a cocky person, but I destroyed everyone that came into my room. And we should probably clip that in a better way. But
Pause.
I did not even catch that.
but I just remember Wes dying laughing. I was up 28 or 35-0 on Wes. This was the Madden where they started actually calling holdings or false starts or like things that like you can't.
No, exactly.
I was up 35-0 and I threw a touchdown to be up 42-0 and they called it back for a holding call and I lost my shit. Like,
Yeah, dude. Colin, this is what happened. Will's destroying me, right? Like we should have ended the game at this point already. Throws a big touchdown. It got called back for a holding or something like that. Will's like, fuck. Like just pissed. He's like, God, man. And he's talking to himself. And I look at him like, dude, are you serious right now? And then he just starts dying laughing.
dude, that was one of the first memories I did have. And I think that just kind of shows a picture into who I am. Like I am just a little bit of a psychopath on things, but I do remember being so angry that they called that touchdown back.
None of you
And you
guys
just being
ever
like-
wanted to play Mario Baseball with me?
Anyway, so
Well, that's what I got whenever I asked you guys that in college.
Dude, I
Colin
just
was by
never.
himself in the corner playing on his little
Dude, it was GameCube, right?
GameCube. Yeah.
GameCube. All right, so it was 2015 spring of 2015 when we all moved together. I mean,
Yes.
hands down, best semester of college. There's
Shout out to the Honeycomb. If anybody from the Comb is listening to this, please.
Yeah.
Club
Shout out
Club
to Honey-
Will,
Club Will,
what
Halo
Halo
parties.
nights.
Guys bringing over like TVs.
Yep.
I remember it was almost every Friday or Saturday night we'd have like 15
Bud Light
guys in
Lime.
the house just playing
Sponsored by
Bonfires.
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 Schulte, third-degree burn.
Yep.
His first major injury.
Yes, doing a broad jump competition and flip flops over a fire pit. That
Taking a
staple-
2x4 to a skunk.
staple
Possums.
off.
Yep, Staples. Kyle Sinclair lived with us. Shout out Kyle, married,
Kyle.
has a kid on the way.
Hey, Kyle,
That guy.
I'm so proud of you, bro.
So true, man.
Hey,
So
can we
true.
all take a moment to tell Kyle how proud we are of him?
Kyle, I'm proud of you, dude.
Hey, let's say it on the count of 3.
Yeah,
Proud of you.
proud of you, dude. If anyone doesn't, honestly, at the beginning stage of this podcast, probably half the people know Kyle Sinclair. Everybody's been graced with his presence. Kyle is the one human being on planet Earth that knows exactly how to get underneath anyone's skin
Oh, yeah.
within seconds.
What makes Kyle so unique in that way is that he just commits to it. He doesn't stop. Like if his goal is to get under your skin and annoy you, he'll do it for 30 minutes straight until you get pissed.
And
That's
here's
his
the
goal.
thing about Kyle Sinclair. When's the last time any of us have talked to him?
My wedding? Wait, no, your wedding.
Wait,
Probably my wedding. I've talked to him.
oh, he came to your wedding?
Kyle was in my.
I was
Kyle-
in.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure I heard that right. Like he was there, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that would have
Yeah.
been cool to have Kyle at my wedding.
Well, I
You want
talked
to know
to
a hilarious story about Kyle? We knew that he had RSVP'd to Leah and I's wedding, but for whatever reason, we missed him on the seating chart. So like,
I
he-
remember that.
So he didn't have a seat. We felt so horrible, Kyle.
I
I'm
think
so
he ate
sorry
with
for
us.
listening to this.
and
ate with us.
He pulled the table or he pulled a chair over to a different table somewhere, but
My
we
table.
felt, was it yours? Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
so
What were you gonna say, Colin? Sorry.
neither of you guys have talked to him in at least a few years, close to 5
Well, at
years.
least in person, no. On social
Yeah.
media, yeah, here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw Kyle last time I was in Pennsylvania, and then I think I've talked to him since then too. But anyway, my point is, Kyle has made his way onto our first podcast.
Yes.
That's Kyle. Like
That's
he's
Kyle.
With
he's
that being
inevitable.
said, Kyle
Sinclair is inevitable.
will be a guest on the pod at some point.
When he becomes a daddy, we need to get his 3-month recap on being a dad.
We might need to get him before he becomes a dad. Maybe pick his brain on where he's
No,
at.
I don't give a shit what he has to say then.
That's
Um,
true. Yeah, that's true.
joking.
Yeah, dude, that was such a dumb idea. Hey, I'm gonna see you guys later.
Yeah.
But okay, hey, so 2015 we move in together.
Yeah.
What was the best and worst part of living with each other? I mean, Will, you and me lived with each other for close to 5 years.
Yeah.
Wes-
Hands down
Wes,
losing
we
my
lived
virginity.
together- The three of us lived together for what, like what was it, a year and a half or so. So I mean, still a good period of time, all three of us together.
Yes. Yeah.
Highs and lows of living together.
I think I won't say no, because dude, I'm not trying to be dramatic. We were the dream team. Like I was just about to say, dude, it was so great. We all like went to bed on time. We got up for our stuff. We had fun. We kept the house clean.
Yeah.
Well,
Honestly,
I don't know, man. Wes.
Yeah, Wes.
hold on. Don't even go there. The only thing that you guys can have on me was maybe the dishes in the dishwasher.
Maybe the dishes. That's like the biggest part of a house being clean.
No, it is not, dude. We shared a bathroom, bro. That thing was always spotless. You and I shared the same bathroom, and that thing was spotless.
Okay, that's true. But to me, dude, dishes though, dude.
Bro, I made your bed every morning for you.
Yeah, because we slept together.
No, okay. So yeah, the dishes weren't actually a thing, but since then, I've heard from so many people, like friends of mine, with their roommates and the horror stories they have with their with roommates not cleaning up after themselves. And I mean, I honestly feel bad even bringing that up because we were the dream team of roommates.
No,
Yeah.
we were.
The house was always clean for the most part.
Yeah.
We would freaking talk to each other about cleaning it. And it wasn't even like a weird thing. We'd be like, hey, so like, you guys want to knock out like cleaning the house this Saturday? We'll be like, yeah, I'm going to vacuum the house. I'll be like, all right, yeah, I'll take out the garbage. Like we were just like,
honestly, and I think it's one of those things where guys like us, man, we were just so focused on bettering ourselves to be better husbands, you know? At the time, we didn't,
yeah, we weren't concerned with all of the things that most kids are concerned with.
no.
And it's crazy because I do wish that like Leah would see that.
Yeah. No. I don't have a negative memory of that semester or that time. First moving in, it was so fun. It just worked, man. You know when it just works? It was great. I really think that semester kickstarted, obviously meeting each other and everything, but you guys are going to be like part of my life forever. And I mean that in like 5-10% homosexual way. I just knew that we were just going to be best buds. Dude, it was great. We were all focused, all having fun, good guys. There really wasn't a time where I was bitching about you guys, except the dishes occasionally, Wes. But I'm not going to let, in life, man, you can't let one thing define you. I'm not going to let the dishes define you, bro.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
If anybody else absolutely hates doing dishes, then please comment. Just show some support to the non-dishwashing enthusiasts out there because I just can't stand it. I'll fold laundry better than anybody else, but when it comes to washing dishes, golly.
Dude, me and Kelsey went the first 4 years of our marriage without a dishwasher. I actually don't know how we did that. I now put things in the dishwasher and I'm like, how did we survive?
Are you putting things in the dishwasher that say not dishwasher safe just because you want to use the dishwasher?
Yeah, I don't care. We just gave Ellie a bath in the dishwasher yesterday.
Dude.
Okay, wait, actually, Will,
David, I lived with him for 2 years. The only like big arguments we ever got into were because I never did the dishes. So this is like not just a you guys thing. It's just a me thing. I take full.
It's a character flaw.
I'm sorry.
No, see, I'm going to correct you, Wes, about you saying you don't like to do dishes, etc. I got into this argument with Aaron. No one likes to do dishes, Wes.
No, but like I just avoid it. Like
no, that's the difference, though, is that some people are just, I don't care if the house looks like shit. I'm not doing the dishes, where me goes, I'm not going to allow my house to look like shit. So even though I hate doing the dishes, I'm going to do them. Aaron had the audacity one night. We had friends over and there were a bunch of dishes and we were talking about it. And she was like, no, like Will loves doing the dishes. And I turned around and was like, excuse me? She's like, I mean, you do them every night. I'm like, because they won't get done.
See, Aaron relates.
No, it's not that I love doing the dishes. It's that they need to get done. So that's all I'll say with that. But I'm not going to, again, dude, I'm not going to let the dishes define you, Wes. I think you're a pretty stand-up guy.
All right. So, Will, I want to comment and kind of ask a question. You made, I'm going to have to paraphrase here, but you just said something along the lines of like, when we were living together, that's when you knew we were going to be buds forever, whatever.
Yeah, fuck it. That didn't mean anything, I guess.
I mean, I meant whatever you said, however you finish that off. Because I kind of, the more I think about that, I have a little different opinion. Not that like when we lived together, I didn't think we were going to be, call it like lifelong friends. But I think obviously nobody could have predicted how life was going to turn out with us all getting married around the same time and having kids so close to each other. But how we've ended up so close still, I think is, in a lot of cases, like this is very unique.
Mm-hmm.
did you think something like this when you say that? Because here's why I'm asking. Is because even after we graduated, and then you and I lived together for 2 years after we graduated, and then whenever you and Aaron went and your house, you moved out, and then I finished out the lease. Well, I mean, we finished out the lease, but I finished living in our apartment. Then that kind of started a stretch, and it kind of coincided with the time frame that we all got married at, where we didn't really connect much or hang out or talk much for a 1 to 2-ish year period. And I mean, honestly, it was kind of like working out CrossFit that kind of rekindled that, at least for me and you, kind of talking again. We were just kind of talking about like some workouts and stuff. And then it just, you know what? What I'm getting at is there was kind of this break, and then it seemed like things kind of coincidentally happened to bring us all back together. Part of me is curious, like, man, did we just get lucky, or were we so tight that was just bound to happen somehow? You know what I mean? Like, do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, I think about this a lot, and you guys are grouped into this. Is I'm not the best at. I mean, dude, you said there's been so many transitions. This is in a transitionary period for all of us, right? College, adulthood, and then engaged, married, kids, moving, etc. I think I've always been pretty bad at, I don't know, checking in with people like I should, if that makes sense. But then I think there's a level of like feeling you have those certain friends that you can go a long time without communicating with each other or seeing each other. But when you hang out, it almost feels exactly like it did when we lived together in 2015.
Yeah.
And we've always had that connection where it could be a week, a month, 3 months, 5 months without seeing each other, and we get together and it feels like we're back at Sagamore, or we need to talk to each other or bounce something off each other, and it feels like I truly value your opinion or Wes's opinion on things. And I think those are things that because like you can go have fun with anybody. I can go have fun with 300 people that I know. But having those like deeper real life conversations is something that really stuck out to me with you guys. That, I mean, I don't know how to say it without sounding like a little weird, but when I think of my life, you guys are part of that image that I have in my head, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think that time we did go a couple years not talking as much. It's like anything, dude. Like you can probably connect this way to a lot of things in life, you personally, but if you don't purposely try to make an effort or attention to that, it'll be one of those things like, oh, I should call Colin. And then you forget, and it's 3 months later. Not very good at that. Like I'm the type of guy that has to do it as soon as it comes into my head, or I will forget it. But I think if anything, it really showed me how strong our friendship was, because I honestly didn't even remember we didn't talk for as much as we normally did.
Yeah.
Because when we did pick back up and kind of start talking, I think it was CrossFit that I was asking for your advice and talking to you about different things, that it felt like we had never stopped.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But no, I do hate that, because obviously it's
No,
crazy.
I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it as a slight towards you. I'm the same exact way. Like, also, I don't really feel bad for not connecting with a lot of people. I'm like, whatever. I got you guys, and like as long as like my circles are close now, like I'm not like, I'm not worried about it. But
yeah, no, that's kind of my take on it. And I think everyone has those kind of friendships, but it's about finding those. Because before I used to feel like I had a lot of friends, and it's good to have a lot of friends, but I'm saying you only have so much time and bandwidth in your life. And it's when you find those that it just is easy and it works out, and it's someone you can laugh with, have fun with, but you can also have those serious and those hard conversations with, that I think really means something. So that's where I feel about you guys as well. I mean, I'm an idiot. You guys know that.
I'm blushing.
The fact you guys still love me.
Wes, what do you think? When did you like kind of have a sense that we would be kind of lifelong friends?
Yeah. Well, I never had a period where I wasn't talking to you guys because you guys were always wanting me in your life. So I couldn't really relate to that story, to be honest, because while you guys weren't talking, you were talking to me all the time. But, I think that
You're the worst texter of all time, so I don't
I
even
am
want
the
to.
worst at texting. Let's just keep, I'm the worst at Madden.
No,
I don't do the distance. I'm the worst texter. Just kidding. No, I think
I'm actually
that
the worst at Madden and texting. Okay, can we just, dude? Texting sucks. It's the worst. It's actually the worst thing ever. I don't want texting anymore.
I'd rather call on the phone or FaceTime, but
Will lives on the phone, so he's like,
no.
Yeah. I don't know. I do say that, and then I'm like, yeah, but sometimes texting is just the best way to not.
Dude, but Wes, you just have to put like a little
I know.
more
I
effort.
don't. I know. Will's always said this about me, and anybody that knows me pretty well can probably agree with this statement. And I'm sorry about it, but I don't do a lot of emojis. I don't really like do
Exclamation point.
points. Like I just will like say like,
Yeah, I feel like I'm always annoying you when I'm texting you.
are you serious?
Yes, dude.
Oh, kind of.
That's how I feel. Dude, I'll send Wes.
I've been
I'll
saying
send
that for
Wes
years.
the funniest thing ever. I've laughed 10 minutes. I'll send him it and he'll respond. 8.
Yeah, yes.
That's an
Yeah.
exaggeration.
No, bro. It's
Come
or
on,
LOL.
man. Yeah, yeah. That's
Dude, but it
Texting,
hurts. It
dude,
hurts
texting sucks. I never.
because I know you laugh at them. I know you died laughing at what I sent you.
Here's the thing.
But you
When I
can't-
say LOL, it's literal, man. Like I'm actually laughing out loud, dude.
You mean what you say? Yeah, I
I
respect.
mean what I say what I mean. I stay true to that, bro.
But at
Hey,
least
true.
LOL exclamation point, dude.
Will just loves that exclamation point. That's all he needs.
Bro, Aaron was showing. Aaron has a text of my first text to her when in 2015 when I moved in with you guys. My good luck text to her, like before we even, it wasn't anything me trying to get with her at all. Every sentence was an exclamation point. It was like 14.
You love
I
it, dude.
cringe, bro, reading it back. Like,
You love that freaking
dude,
line with the
You
dot.
know
at
what?
the end.
I probably rely on these too much. Like, I don't know. You guys tell me. Actually, I don't really care what your opinion is because I'm gonna keep doing it. But the GIF is like how I text. Whatever my emotional
It
response.
takes
to
a
the
lot
text-
of time, though.
It does. It does.
It's funny. I agree. It's hilarious, but you have to like type in the word.
Yeah, no, I
Scroll.
don't know. I live. I live.
I don't ever get gifts from you, by the way, so I don't know what you're even talking.
dude, it's a
don't
me and him thing, but it's
All right, go ahead, Wes.
So I was going to say that I agree with what I don't know if it was Colin or Will that said this, but
If you agree with it, it was
I
me.
think the reason for the great friendship that we have stems from the deep conversations that we had,
Damn it.
where it wasn't just about having fun or what we were doing during that time at SEU or football or girls. Like it wasn't just about that. We would share really deep stuff with each other about our families, about stuff that we were going through, struggles, challenges that we had. There were multiple nights where we'd be up till super late just talking about stuff. There's moments where we'd open up about things we were dealing with when it was related to family, where we'd get like emotional and stuff. I think those are the moments that I look back at and think, man, in order for that person to be that open or that, I guess, vulnerable emotionally with me, they need to trust me. They need to truthfully care about me and vice versa. I wasn't going to open up and start talking to you guys about things in my life if I didn't trust you and care about you and honestly want your feedback or want you guys to know things that were going on in life. So I think the friendships that I have in life today are all built around those deep connections. And I think you guys are a couple of the guys in my life that, I mean, I can go back to numerous memories where we were crying about stuff, honestly, so
I don't cry.
yeah. But yeah, I would say back in college, I was like, yeah, these are ride or die guys for me. And I've always had a lot of friends, but I've always been, and you guys have too, but I've always just believed that I'd rather be loved by few than liked by many. And I kind of still live that way today. I'd rather have 5 or 6 guys that are my closest friends that I know I can call whenever and they're going to have my back than have a bunch of friends that I can, reach out to and do stuff with, but not necessarily feel like they are always going to be there for me,
Yeah. One thing I always say too that speaking of that, Wes, what I go on is I don't know when this. I think it honestly happened probably soon after or right around me getting married, especially now having Callie. I've started to, and this may be dramatic. This may be very dramatic, but when I think of my best friends or people that I truly value, I think if something were to happen to me, who would check on or try and help Aaron and Callie?
Mm-hmm.
Like who would genuinely care to not only like, hey, sorry, I hope you're doing great, but who I think would actually do their best within reason. Obviously, we live far away from each other, whatever. And I mean that by saying I feel like you guys care about Aaron as well. I think that is real. And I care about your guys' family. We've been friends since 2014, but I think like we care about each other's family and what's important to us. And I think that grows the bond as well. Like when it's a deeply rooted friendship to where, I mean, I hope you guys would know, like if anything, you ever needed help or someone in your family needed help, like I would be there. And I feel the same way with you guys. If like I was somewhere not available and Aaron needed you guys, I feel you guys would do what you could to help. And I think that kind of ties into what you're saying. And I think that adds into when you have a kid, man, dude, Wes, you told me I remember you joking about it was like 3 months. Margo was 3 months old, and I was just talking to you about it, and you were like, "Dude, everything's different now." And I remember this conversation because it was like, I don't understand, but I understand what you're saying. You were saying everything has changed, and you were watching a show with Leah, and Margo was there, and you were watching the show where people, like normal everyday people, go to train to be a Navy SEAL or something,
Oh, yeah.
and they
Yeah.
had to go on a mission where they had to write a letter to their family as if they were going to die on that mission. And the guy was writing a letter to his wife and his kid or his daughter. And you were like, I was just sitting there crying. And it was like before I probably would have been like, oh, that's sweet. But I do feel that way now. Like there's times like me and Aaron just look at Callie and be like, how is this real? Like, how is this our life right now? How's Callie here with us? And I think maybe that's why I've started thinking that way, because it's been such a shift. And dude, it changes I feel like it changes your entire DNA when you have a kid, and you can't explain it to someone unless they have a kid. And I'm not trying to be that guy, but you can at least, and I mean that in a way of, if you don't have a kid, like enlightening you to life changes, but for all the right reasons. And I think having a kid kind of zeroes you in on what actually matters most to you than what you thought before, because you have no choice but to do so. So
Yeah. I remember that combo.
that was a little tangent, but I do remember that conversation like it was yesterday, because I told Aaron, I remember I told Aaron about it, and then I was crying about something. I think we were watching The Bachelorette, and it was a situation where the daughter and the dad was like, your mom would be so proud of you right now. And like, I was just like, dude, I was just like, me and Aaron were bawling in the kitchen. Like, and I'm like, oh my
I don't know if this happens to you guys, but every single time Leah and I are watching any like sporting event where a team wins a championship or somebody wins a prize or some award or something, and they pan to the parents in the crowd cheering or bawling their eyes out, or like when Josh Allen won the MVP and the video panned over to his parents that were there and the dad was just crying. I just start crying because I just think of that moment when Margot and our future kids are able to accomplish their dreams, and we're there to support them in that and be there, for them when they hit those milestones. There's no better feeling than that. Like I have my personal things that I want to accomplish still, as do you guys. And I think we're still going to stay driven and goal orientated and have different ambitions and things personally that we want to go after. But there's something so exciting about being a part of your kids' like dreams coming true, or being there when they accomplish something great and celebrating with them, that like gets like balling almost every time. Does that happen to you, Colin? I don't know if that like is just a me thing. I know Will and I are sharing like our
Yeah, no,
cry.
I'm just sitting here like, dude, I just asked a simple question about us being friends, and you guys are taking this way too
I mean, you just said like, Will, I'm surprised we didn't talk for 2 years.
No, yeah, I totally resonate with it. I mean, it's kind of crazy, like, how you can see your kid do the simplest thing ever, and you're just totally overcome with pride. Like today, I'm making spaghetti because I do all the cooking like a real man should. Just kidding. I cook maybe once every month.
Sorry,
Um,
babe.
So I was making spaghetti tonight. Yeah, the only time I cook it's spaghetti. And Eden wants to be held, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is spaghetti. Can you say spaghetti? And she's like, I don't. And I'm just like just the fact that she was trying to get spaghetti. I'm like, you're amazing. You're so freaking awesome. And I don't know. I remember talking to you, Wes, before you and Leah got married, and you mentioned something that your guys' pastor at the time said to you about how something along the lines of marriage isn't really designed to make you happy necessarily, but marriage is that it will make you holy, kind of like something along those lines. And I mean, it's not that doesn't have to be the case in every marriage, but I think I've come to start to think of some things, whether you're ready for them or not, you find yourself in this position, and it becomes the constraint that you never realized you actually needed. So when it comes to a kid, yeah, we might still be goal oriented and all that stuff, but we do have a restraint on what we can now do for ourselves. And in some ways that's a negative, because it's like, oh, I can't spend 20 hours a week training for a marathon if I want. I guess you probably don't need that much for a marathon, but a triathlon, right? But that's not actually something you need. But like having a kid be that restraint for you, that it needs to like kind of cut at your pride a little bit. It's like, that's the thing. You do need that though,
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't mean to take that as like a catch-all, like everybody needs to have a kid. You don't need to have a kid. But there are things that get put in our lives that can seem like restraints, but they end up forming you into the type of person that you're actually designed to become. And I think that being a parent is for sure one of those things.
Yeah, I agree. Well, the origin story.
Is that a good
Hopefully,
place
you
to wrap?
guys listening, we went on a little bit of a tangent there talking about how much we love each other. But hopefully, you guys were able to get somewhat of an inside kind of sneak peek experience into what our perspectives were like meeting each other. We never actually talked about that
No,
ever.
not in that depth.
Not like in a format like this where each of us were like sharing our perspectives. I think we've joked about different things before, but yeah, it was the first time for us. So
Nothing like your first time.
nothing like the first time. But yeah, that's the story of our friendship. That's the story of how we met, how we became the three dads in a pod and have developed a really amazing friendship for going on, what, 8 years now, right? About, yeah.
11, dude.
You're right. Oh, I got my
And I
years
suck
all
at math,
jacked.
Wes. I'm bad.
No. 24. Yeah, it is 11. Dang.
Hey, you know what they say, right? Time flies when you're having fun.
Jeez.
Did we want to dive into our fails and nails?
I like that.
Okay. I'm going to take the cake because this is recent. I'm going to take the lead on this because it was recent. We were at the lagoon yesterday and we were playing some paddleball and, well, we were actually throwing the football at this point, but I was holding Callie just because obviously being a dad, that's just what you do. You know, you throw the football, take care of your kid, make sure her needs are met. But anyway, I was walking across with her and Erin's friend threw the football at me and it was a bad throw, but I'm not going to hold it against her. She's a really sweet girl. Love you, Emily.
Guest appearance from Alexa. Our first guest on the show.
Hey, Alexa. Stop. That's dad shit right there. Setting the trash reminder on Alexa.
A trash reminder for 8:30 at night.
Yeah, dude.
It's honestly
sick how you can
smart.
do-
After we put Callie down, we usually
That's
hang out down
honestly
here for a little
smart.
bit.
I should set that weekly as well.
That's sick how you can do all that stuff you were mentioning a couple minutes ago, but you can't even take your own damn trash out.
Yeah, well, fuck you, Con. And so, anyway, she throws the football, and I'm holding Callie, and I go to aggressively accelerate to grab this football. Well, Callie in my arm, she doesn't go anywhere else but backwards. So she completely falls out the backside of my arm, and
You fumbled her.
yeah.
All right.
I had an opportunity, you know, time kind of froze. I had opportunity to either teach her a life lesson that you're going to get knocked down in life, but it's about getting back up. And then I also thought maybe I shouldn't let my daughter fall on the back of her skull at the beach from about 5 feet up in the
For
air.
real, though?
No, she flew like backwards out of my arm because I like accelerated so fast because I'm just extremely athletic.
Mm.
And I pivoted, stopped, and I jumped back and put my hand out and caught the back of her like head and back. And she did not hit the sand. It was super impressive. And that's
Football play you've ever made.
that was yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. So I conceived my second child after that.
Nailed it, dude.
Yeah, that was a
Was that
nail.
a fail or a nail?
I'm gonna say it's a nail because it could have been bad.
Yeah, it's a nail for sure.
It's a nail.
And you led into another nail, so that's double nail. That's great.
Yeah, it's all about nailing. Honestly, you're either the hammer or the nail.
Yeah.
I
like
hammer
that.
nails.
Yeah, so I love that for you, Will. Great job, man.
Thanks, man.
So my nail this past week was Leah went to help out with some setting up for my younger sister's prom this past Saturday. So I was on Margot duty for like 9 hours and I nailed it. No temper tantrums. We had fun. We went to the park.
Is that because you just didn't hear her crying elsewhere, or
Yeah, pretty much.
because there's no way you went 9 hours without a temper tantrum?
Dude, I'm telling you, she was good, bro. That's why I'm actually using this as my nail because I was shocked. She didn't throw any fits. She went down and took a 2.5 hour nap, which we've been struggling with naps lately. I wasn't like ready to freak out myself. And when Leah got home, like it was solid.
So kind of what I picked up from that. Also, great job. I mean, I expect nothing less
That's exactly where you're going with this. And I'm about to
from
say
us, but I'm kind of feeling, just based on what you said and kind of things I've experienced, I know Colin probably as well, it kind of seems like the common denominator with tough days with the kids kind of revolves around the wife.
Funny how Leo wasn't there.
you know?
Yeah, yeah. But I don't really want to go down that path. I think we're setting ourselves up for something that we don't want right now, Will. So let's just not go down that path. I don't think we need. I
All
think
right.
we need to set ourselves up for more days of solo dolo dad duties.
We'll reel it back in.
All
Colin,
right, Colin.
do you have a fail or a nail?
All right, my nail. So Eden has been. I mean, it's really tough to say that she's been in a sleep regression because I'm not trying to sound like a douchebag.
Right.
Eden's worst nights sleeping have literally been some kids' best nights at her age.
Yeah.
But she's kind of going through a little sleep regression, and what I mean by that is she just doesn't really want anybody but Kelsey to put her down. So she's been. I've been having a hard time for the past 2 weeks, but I stayed committed to we're rotating nights right now, but me and Kelsey putting her down and stayed committed to doing that when I mean I was honestly kind of just, why are we even doing this?
Yeah, like the end of your rope, like it's no point.
Like Kelsey just put her down. Like,
Yeah.
so it kind of turned into, we've got it figured out now, but it's funny because it turned into, she has two different routines now, but if it's me or Kelsey putting her down. So like instead of cradling her and giving her a bottle after we read her books and stuff, she just wants to keep reading with me. And then basically once she shuts the book that we're reading, then I'm like, okay, you're ready for bed. And I put her down and she puts herself down to sleep.
Nice.
So I guess, so yeah, just like kind of staying committed to that whole, like, hey, mom and dad can both put you down, not really giving in to her, getting her way there. And it's like, it seems paying off now. So yeah.
It is a big deal to get your kid to fall asleep at a set time and stay asleep.
Mhm.
I don't think people realize it until they have kids. And maybe there's some people that are listening that have never had an issue putting their kid to sleep. I do have some friends that like don't really seem to have that struggle, which is amazing. But a majority of the friends that I have that have kids have had, whether within the first year or 2 years of the kid's life, where they're like having issues putting them to sleep. And it's a big stress. So I can totally relate to that.
I would say that I've been extremely lucky with same to Colin. I feel bad I mean, I think there was a day Callie slept like 10 hours and we were like, why the hell is she up already? Which is sickening to say because she usually sleeps. Recently, it's been the older she's getting, I think she's waking up earlier, but I don't know if that's the daylight savings. But I also think, to Colin's point, it is so difficult and every kid is different with their routine or what they like to. And I think being extremely adaptable to trying random stuff like the book, kind of like Colin, the routine with Kelsey's a little different, but with her, she likes to read through the whole book. She closes it. I get her down. I think in the beginning with Aaron and I, and through different developmental stages, just going, okay, that's not working anymore. Just throwing things at the wall and waiting for something to stick. And then you feel like it's in a point where this is the routine and then it switches up on you. But I think just knowing that it's going to switch or knowing that it's going to be a lot more difficult, but doing what Colin did, stay committed to it. Like, no, we're going to figure this out because it's fun. It's just, I've got to figure out what Eden's needing at that moment to feel comfortable to go to bed. But that's definitely a nail because there's times where you're just like, dude, there's nothing's going to work. I remember a time I called Erin. It was like the first time I think she left the house to go hang out with friends and she was gone for 6 hours. And Callie started crying probably 45 minutes to an hour after she left and did not stop freaking out for 4 hours. And I was telling Erin, like, I was trying pats on the back, pats on the belly, carrying her, putting her in her swing, everything I could do. And I was still obviously a newer parent at that time. I was like, babe, I don't want to be that guy, but can you come home when you get a stop point? Because I was losing my mind
You
here.
with her by yourself while she was crying like that for 4 hours.
Yes, bro.
See, that's impressive that you even did that.
Well, I felt bad because it was like we planned it. I was like, babe, I want you to get out. I want you to go do that. And Callie hadn't been like that, dude. But I don't know what it was, dude. It was just, we were watching videos at dinner the other night, like old videos of Callie. And I came across that night and it was like videos of the time stamps of just 3-4 hours straight of Callie scream crying. And I was like, she's fed. She's diaper changed. Like,
Yeah.
I'm trying everything, bro. And it was no rhyme or reason, bro. Just, you know.
Yeah.
But no, it was so shout out to you, bro. Hey, that's a shout out. That's a nail for sure.
Shout out to you for going 4 hours. My wife pushed for 4 hours, so who's stronger?
I don't think you want my comment on that. I already.
All right, should we do some?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one. I'll go. So Leah and I went to the park, actually in Lakeland.
Yeah, I saw that on Facebook.
Sunday.
Yeah.
We went to.
Cool. No, it wasn't just this past Sunday, was it? Oh, okay. You were here also 2 weeks ago because I was kind of offended you didn't let me know you were in Lakeland, but it's all right. Go ahead.
Well, just so you know, I did text you on Saturday morning, saying happy anniversary to you and Kelsey.
Yeah,
So,
appreciate it.
Will, did you do that for Colin?
He came to see us.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, I actually like texted and
Wait, when was it? What are you talking about? 2 weeks ago, I was in Lakeland and I didn't hit you
I
up.
don't know, dude. I remember a couple weeks ago I went onto Facebook to look for something and I saw a story or whatever it is that
Oh,
you
I was with Mason and Kelsey. They invited us to go to breakfast and hang out. They actually invited us to come down and hang out with them. When was the last time you did that, man? Anyways, so we were in Lakeland on Sunday and we went to one of these little kiddie parks near, I don't know which lake it was, kind of by downtown. There's a park.
Mirror.
Yeah.
Like
Where
Mirror.
the like koi fish and Hollis Gardens are. There's a little park
Yeah.
right around there. Yeah. Really cool. And Margot was, playing on the swings and having a blast for like 15, 20 minutes. And Leo was chilling with our dog at a bench, I don't know, a few minutes away. And I had picked up Margot, letting her know, all right, hey, it's time to go. Like we're gonna leave. Dude, she absolutely, and I didn't know this was a thing that she does when Leah takes her to the park, but she says she does it every single time she picks her up and says it's time to go, but she just loses it, like hysterically starts crying, has a complete meltdown. And it was the first time I felt like there were people looking at me questioning if I was her dad. You know that like kind of second guessing that you do when you see a kid just hysterically crying and some man is just holding a kid and you're like, why is that kid freaking out like that?
that way when Margot came out and I was like, doesn't look like Wes.
Dude, I felt so embarrassed and then she's freaking out and people are looking at you. Then I'm trying to get her to calm down and it's just making things worse. And then I had this one couple look over and start talking to each other, looking at us. And I was, yeah.
That's crazy. To be honest with you, I've never experienced either end of that. Like feeling people were looking at me like that, but I've also never like seen a kid crying and thought in my head, like, is the guy that kid's with his or her dad? I mean, it's just an interesting thing to hear. I've never.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
well-
if you like very quickly glance and you see a kid absolutely freaking out and some guy just holding him, and you don't put together like things that maybe were happening before that or like connect the dots, like I think my go-to reaction would be like, why is that kid freaking out like that?
No, that's a good point. And I mean, Colin, you're from a small town, Pennsylvania, right? Shout out Dillsburg.
Shout out Dillsburg.
I'm from,
Dill.
I'm from Jacksonville, which isn't the most safe place on earth. It's gotten better.
Yeah.
Wes is from Detroit, and you have to think, growing up in a place like that, you have to think that every kid you hear screaming and crying is probably getting kidnapped. And I know this is early on in the episode, so we don't need to get to childhood trauma, but obviously there's some things that are really weighing on Wes.
We're cutting all of this
It
for
brought
Wes.
back some like
listeners.
deep memories, some dark places.
Yeah, actually, come to think of that, nothing bad ever happens in Dillsburg, Pennsylvania. The worst thing that's ever happened to me was my neighbor shot my dog.
I'm not trying to laugh. It's just like the most Dillsburg, PA thing I've ever heard.
If enough listeners request that story, I'll tell it.
Yeah.
I think people will request that story.
Yeah.
All right, that's enough.
Don't worry, the guy who shot him ended up murdered. So, spoiler. Will, you got to fail?
I'm still interested in Wes' story, and I'm just
my story was done.
no. I'm kind of scrambling here, just being
Okay, I'll
a good
go.
husband and dad. It's hard to find a fail.
Yeah,
But Colin, go ahead.
I don't expect you to have any fails for as long as we do this podcast. I never expect a fail to come out of your mouth, Will. My fail. All right. So the other day, eating down for a nap, and she's also kind of in this. I think she's trying to transition to the one nap thing. So she's been taking much shorter naps recently. So I go and I put her down. So this is on a Saturday. Most Saturdays I'm with her for the majority of the morning, and so I put her down. We get to like 30 minutes. I'm like, all right, she's going to be waking up here soon. So I'm like kind of trying to finish up everything I was doing around the house. Then it gets to 45 and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe she'll make it like an hour today. And then it gets to hour 20. I'm like, dude, she's taking a long nap. And then Kelsey comes home. She was teaching Pilates at Balance Culture. Shout out Balance Culture, sponsor of the show. And so Kelsey comes home. I'm like, Kelsey, Eden's still down for a nap. We're going on like a little over an hour and a half right now. She's like, oh my gosh. So finally, hour 40, hour 45, she wakes up. I'm like, that was an incredible nap. Well, we open up her nursery door. It smells like shit. And Kelsey immediately recognizes it. And I left the diaper pail open.
Oh.
So I'm just sitting there and I'm like, dude, she didn't get a good nap. I just basically rendered her unconscious.
Dude, you literally,
You gas master in your own room.
she's going to be in the next season of Chernobyl, dude. Bro, that is brutal. I know when that thing is open for 2 seconds when we're throwing a dirty diaper in there, you're like, there's no way that came out of my daughter.
It's so bad.
There's no way. I remember Wes saying that because obviously Margot was born a little bit before ours, but I remember Wes being like, dude, there's sometimes like you gag. It's like there's no way that
Yeah.
it comes out of your cute little baby. But
And we were just talking about it this weekend, Will. It's the clean pebble poops smell the worst.
The ones that look like,
they're like pack-a-punch, you know?
well, those honestly can be even worse.
Like that Call of Duty reference.
Yeah.
Another sponsor of the show.
Yeah, thanks for Activision for sponsoring. Really great.
New Warzone map drops here soon.
Yeah. I did see that, dude. God, I miss playing video games.
Dude, don't even get me started. You're supposed to buy me a system too, but we won't talk about that.
Dude. Just wait, bro.
Do you have a fail, Will?
Yeah, I do. Honestly, I'll say, and I tried, guys. There's nothing I did wrong as a dad this week.
I get it, dude. I get it.
Nothing of like, I mean, I have some fails for sure. But if we're taking recent, I'll say a recent thing that happened. I'll say a fail as a husband. We'll do a fail as a husband.
All right.
So
we know you got a lot of those, so go ahead.
yeah, fuck you. But no, so recently when I was gone, I was on a little work trip. Kanye was like throwing up everywhere, I guess. Well, my wife was dealing with that with the baby and the dog's puking his brains out everywhere, blah, blah, blah. And I guess he puked. Where'd he puke, babe? Okay, everywhere.
Official location.
So yeah, specific living room. I guess he puked somewhere on the pillow or a blanket or whatever. And Aaron decided to dump the puke right over our fence. And our fence is a wrought iron fence, so you can obviously, still get the goods. Well, we have 2 wiener dogs who are literally bred to smell and go after food. And so obviously the dogs now, because there's rotting puke on the side of the fence, they want to get to that side of the fence. Kim, our other dog, has been trying to eat her brother's throw up for 4 days. And Aaron was like, hey, I let Kim out. Please watch her while I go do whatever she was going to do, paint her nails or online shop or something. And I obviously didn't watch Kim at all. I don't think I spent 1 millisecond of my time thinking of where Kim was. And Aaron comes back down like 10, 15 minutes later and she's like, hey, is Kim back inside? And I'm like, shit, Kim's outside. So Kim had gone through the fence and was just barking in the middle of our neighbor's backyard. Luckily, when Aaron ran out there, she came right back over, and then Aaron grabbed her head and, like a bobblehead, pulled her through the wrought iron and separated her from her vertebrae. But we did get her back. But I would say that was a fail because she specifically stated to watch Kim, and I specifically spent 0 seconds of my time thinking about Kim outside. When she told me,
did she make her way over to Kanye's puke?
Yeah, she probably ate all of it if she was already over there. Yeah,
Make it worth her while.
yeah, it's just being resourceful. You don't want anything in the family to leave, so I get it.
Yeah.
But that would be my fail. I think just being disrespectful to my wife's request, which typically, if you were looking at a pie chart, probably 99.9% of the time I do an amazing job at. But that was the 0.1 that we're going to highlight.
I want to go ahead and phone a friend here. Hey, Aaron, how accurate is that rating, that percentage scale? Yeah.
Be truthful. 99% happiness and...
Oh, approval rating?
Yeah, like on my day-to-day.
Oh, I thought I was rating your story.
Well, thank you for the...
Aaron, go ahead and speak into the mic.
Yeah, that's the dog laying on me. 100%.
Oh, wow. Dang. I love that. Good job, Will. That's great, man.
Yeah.
Good job.
It's...
I know Aaron wouldn't lie.
No.
First episodes.
I mean, it goes back to kind of where we started. I mean, if it's just a want-to thing, and if you put your mark...
Yeah. I believe it.
Yeah. But
All right.
speaking of...
Fails and nails. First ever segment of 3 Dads in a Pod. We did it.
We got some hilarious stories still to tell, a ton of different topics and things that we have kind of in the queue to discuss. But we would also love for you guys to give us some suggestions, give us feedback on different topics that you'd like us to maybe debate. They can be controversial. They can be topics that you're interested in us discussing related to parenthood, fatherhood, marriage, adapting to different things in life, balancing life. We really want the things that we talk about and discuss to obviously be relatable to everybody, but also be relatable to where we're at in life as well. So comment on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever platform you listen to or watch, different things that you'd like us to discuss. If you have any favorite nails or fails as well, let us know which of the three had the best nail or the worst fail.
That's a good idea, Wes. So should we tally that? We should add that and tally it, and then
Yeah,
at the
maybe
end of
we'll
the
keep
year we
it
can
running a
say
list
who is
of-
the best dad or husband,
Yeah,
who is
I
the
like
worst
that.
dad or husband.
I like that.
And
Whoever
yeah,
got the
go for it.
most nails is trending towards being the best, and whoever got the most people agreeing with what the top fail was is trending in the opposite direction. And we'll just keep a running tally of that. And
What do you mean by opposite direction?
like trending towards being the worst dad of the three.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, you're so dumb. But yeah, that's the origin story. Will, Colin, you guys got anything else you want to add?
No, if you've made it this far, this is a long first episode.
Yeah, God bless you.
It means you're a real one. Keep supporting the show. Thank you for checking
thank
us
you
out.
for-
And like Wes said, just shoot us some questions. Just comment. We want to interact with you. This is meant to be fun. We just want to have some positive interaction with you guys. So thank you.
And we'll start diving more into the different segments that we talk about in our intro too. Like we have a bunch of different things that we will incorporate in all the episodes. This one was kind of meant to just be like the intro into us and our friendship. So our future episodes won't be as free tangent off the original maybe topic as this one was. Yeah, just want to add that in there.
All right.
But
Sounds like
do we do our like signing out song?
Yeah. Do we know what that is?
Three dads and a
Nope. Pulling the plug now. Thank you for listening.